Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be doing some quick and easy treat holders. You can use these for Halloween, which is what I'm going to be using them for, or you can adapt the paper and the sentiments to whatever occasion you might need something for. So today I'm going to be using some Ferror Rochers and some Ghirardellis. I don't have any of my Ghirardellis on hand right now, but it's just the regular size. I know there's a mini version. These little treat holders are going to fit the regular size. The first things first, we're going to start with our Ghirardelli one. And you're going to need just a few things to make these holders. Not a whole lot of supplies, not a whole lot of material, which is really good, particularly if you plan on making these in bulk like I do. So for one of our Ghirardellis, you need a piece of pattern paper. It does not need to be double-sided. You're not going to be able to see the other side. This measures 2 by 8 5/8, and then you need a piece of cardstock or a little bit heavier weight paper, and this is 3 by 5.5, and we're going to do some scoring and folding on this. You also need some sort of punch or a die to have your Ghirardelli fit into place, and I'll kind of show you what I mean in a second. So let's go ahead and do some scoring. We're going to go ahead and start with our designer series paper first, so our pattern paper first. This one's very simple. On the long side, so the 8 5/8 inch side, you're going to score this at 1, 3 1/4, 5 3/8, and 7 5/8. Then for your cardstock piece, remember this measures 3 by 5.5, and on all 4 sides, we'll just make this kind of simple. On all 4 sides, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. So remember that is the kind of bigger tick mark between the whole numbers. So just do a 1/2 inch on all 4 sides first. And then we have a couple more that we're going to need to do. But again, this is nothing difficult, y'all. Okay, so 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. And then on your long side, you're going to come back and score at 2.5. Again, that's the bigger tick mark between the whole numbers. And 3. So your paper should end up looking like this. Now, I know there are people that like to score or burnish their fold marks before they cut. I usually do the opposite. I like to burnish my score marks before I cut. So you do whatever works best for you, but we're just going to burnish these real quick. I do apologize if you can hear things in the background. I am trying to do these projects in between nap time. And with a project like this, it's better if it's done like I feel like it's better if it's done like live talk instead of me trying to do like a voiceover with it. But you tell me. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to essentially, all of these little 1/2 inch marks, you're going to create tabs. So I'm going to essentially cut off the tab. So I cut to the left of this little bump, okay? And then I'm going to cut to the right of that little bump just to remove it. Okay, so that's all you're doing, is essentially removing that little bump there. Okay, so I'm going to cut to the left of this bump, and then I'm going to cut to the right of it just to remove that excess paper. These things are going to fold into this little holder here, this little box, and that's a good rule of thumb. Anything that's going to fold in to your project, you want to typically wedge into that just so that you can remove some mass, so that you get a much neater fold. I would go ahead and just very gently miter these outside edges, but you don't have to necessarily. But we'll do it just to be consistent. So again, same thing, to the left, then to the right. On this one, to the left and to the right. And just remove those. Okay, last little wedge, boom. All right, so that is all of your, I guess you could say, waste from that little project. All right, we can go ahead and do the same thing here. Just gonna go ahead and burnish that. You're not going to do any like cutting on this one per se. But I will show you a way to kind of make it a little fancier in a second. All right, so I have just folded all of that. Okay, so I went to my stash and I found a 1 1/4 inch die. I think this is a Simon Says Stamp nesting circles die. And all I'm gonna do is put this in the center here. I'm just gonna eyeball it. If you wanted to get real specific, you could measure, but I'm just gonna eyeball it. And then I'm going to tape it in place with just some washi tape. And then I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. And all I'm going to do is cut this one circle. I don't have to cut two, just the one. So I'm just going to tape that in there and run that through my die cut machine. 1 second. Once that is cut, you are ready to start gluing. So you could use a dry adhesive for this. It's not like it's holding anything heavy, but I like the wiggle room that wet adhesive allows me, so I'm going to use some wet adhesive. So I have now flipped this to what is going to essentially be the outside, okay? And I'm going to apply a little bit of glue to each of these little teeny tiny tabs if my glue was actually working. I have to do this often, y'all. I just have a little pin that I shove in there and kind of clear it. Usually cut this out of the videos, but you know, today you get all the issues. All right, just a little bit of glue on each one of these little tabs. Like I said, you could use a dry adhesive or like a tape runner, but I just find this to be a little bit more forgiving, I guess. So all I'm doing is bringing these little tabs up. I'm sorry if I get out of camera. I have a tendency to be kind of, you know, blind. So I have to bring things like right up to my face. So I'm just going to kind of squeeze these into place. Now these center ones, they're just going to fold on in. You're just wanting to make sure that you're kind of keeping things square as best you can. So all I'm going to do is bring this loose edge to this tight edge. So I guess a little paper anatomy for you. This is called a loose edge because there's nothing holding it. And this is called a tight edge because it's actually still connected. And so that's what I mean when I'm saying I'm going to bring this loose edge to this tight edge. I'm going to fold this around. And now this loose edge is touching this tight edge like that. Same thing over here. Okay. And now these will fold into one another. And I'm going to put some more glue on it. But when I glue them together, I think I'm going to try to like tuck this one in. Actually, I don't even think I need to glue that. That came together really well. All right, so there's that. And then the Ferrero nestles right on in there. And it doesn't like, well, if you force it, obviously it'll fall out. I pushed it all the way to the bottom and like it doesn't shake out. Obviously I can make it come out, but if you kind of shove it in there until it bottoms out, it's not like wiggling in there. All right, so for this is our piece that's 2 inches by 8 5/8. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a tag topper punch. I don't have a whole lot of punches from Stampin' Up, but I do have this one. In fact, this is the only punch I have from Stampin' Up, and I really, really like it. I struggle with these. They're just not strong enough to punch through like cardstock. They'll punch through this okay, but they aren't going to punch through this cardstock that we saw. So I really like these because these will punch through just about anything. So this opening here is 2 inches. Our paper is about 2 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in all the way, and I like to flip this over to the back so I can actually like see a little better and make sure that I'm centered. And once I see that I'm centered, I'm going to go ahead and punch that out. And then I'm going to flip it to the other side and do the same thing. Just kind of feed that through there. Make sure I'm centered, make sure it's all the way to the end, and punch one more time. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this into here. And then these, I'm gonna actually kind of fold those back a little bit. We'll go inside. All right, so let's go ahead and take that out for just a minute. Let's get that all out of the way. I'm just gonna apply some glue to the bottom of this. Oops. Apply some glue to the bottom of that. And just kind of nestle it in there. Get it centered as best you can. Make sure you're not going over your score lines. And then just try to get it as centered as possible. And then I'm just gonna rub my finger across the bottom of it. You can take your bone folder, but I don't feel that that's necessary. If you wanted to, you could actually glue these sides up there so that they will kind of stay there a little better. And I think I might go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of glue there and a little bit of glue there and fold those up. Hold those for just a second. Okay. And then I'm gonna put our little chocolate in there. And then that's how it sits. Isn't that cute? I think that's really cute. So now I'm just gonna take a little piece of ribbon and tie this off. So what I did off screen is I went ahead and die cut this little tag die just from scraps of the coordinating same paper. And I'm gonna stamp a little sentiment from that. You can use whatever tag shape you have, or you can forego a little sentiment on there altogether. I don't know who this is from, but this is what it looks like. And this is the littlest guy in there. But these are from Fawn, and these are their tiny tag sayings, or tiny tag sayings. I purchased these forevers ago. I don't even know if these are still available, but I'm going to use this, one of these for yous on there, or just for you maybe. Let's see. We'll do the just for you. And I'm going to stamp it on the back side so that it can, well, I don't know. We'll see. Let's go ahead and get that stamped. And then I have some, this is Dollar Tree ribbon, and this is Paper Studio ribbon. So this is from Hobby Lobby. This is Baker's Twine, and we're going to use those to attach. So let's go ahead and stamp this little greeting on here real quick. Let's see, where's the one I want? What did I say? Just for you? Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. Or maybe a little something for you. What do we think? A little something for you, or the just for you? Let's do a little something for you. Let's do that. Let's see if that's somewhat centered and straight. Sorry if you can hear my little man coughing in the background. He is teething, so he is snotty and all sorts of fun right now. Okay, that looks pretty straight. I'm going to use some VERSAFINE ONYX Black to stamp this out. So I'm just going to make sure that this is lined up in that bottom corner. Ink it up. Looks pretty good. Let's do it one more time. Looks good. Okay. All right, so there's that part. So I'm just going to cut off, I'm not even going to measure really, but if you wanted a length, it's about 6.5 inches, 6 3/4 inches of the Baker's Twine. And then for the ribbon, I'm going to do, my ribbon's a little bit wider than that opening. That's okay. I just want to give you a guesstimate, I guess, on how long it is. Yeah, this is from Dollar Tree, and it's like double-sided, so both sides are the same, and there's no like wire in it, which I really like. Okay, so I would say about there, maybe a touch shorter. So let's see how long that is for you. So the baker's twine is about 6 3/4, and then the ribbon is about 6 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and feed that through. Even up my tails here. And then I'm going to use this. I'm going to thread that through this little hole here. Probably take 5 years for me to do that. Want to know why? Because I'm on camera. Okay. And then I'm going to use this to kind of tie myself a little knot. And then I'm going to cut off these ends a little bit. Okay, and there you have it. So there's your little Ferror Rocher. Like I said, it doesn't, I mean, you can eventually knock it out of there, but that 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch circle does a really good job of like holding that in there. So there is that. I might actually trim up these little tails a little bit since I got them a little frayed trying to get them in there. So there you go. That's the first little treat holder we've got. All right.